Hello, and welcome to a new series of Careers Unplugged. This is where we uncover the real stories behind professional life. I'm joined by James to discuss his experience as an actuarial intern at Barnett Waddingham. Welcome to the podcast, James. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm not doing too bad. I've just been doing some studying today. First week back to uni, so I want to make sure I've got a nice head start for the rest of the term and year, sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, how's studying going so far?
It's going all right. It's week one, so it's still fairly simple concepts. Just trying to remember how to actually do my degree after a long summer off, to be honest with you.
Can I just ask you a question about a maths degree? Does it include any essays? Is there any theory in it?
I've not had to write any essays per se, but we have had in second year a couple of reports to do. So that's sort of the closest thing we get to an essay. So I think I had two last year. One of them was an individual project, the other one was a group project. And both of them was, we got given a topic, we had to explore things about the topic and write it up in a report, and that's like our piece of written work from our degree sort of thing. A lot of the coursework we do is, here's a sheet of questions, answer the questions, put it in a pigeonhole, you get it back a week later all marked, all nice and marked with some feedback on there. So that's like the main bulk of it.
Because I can imagine also the contact hours must be quite intense.
Yeah, I think this year I'm doing 2 modules at the minute. It's 4 hours of lectures per module with an hour for workshop and tutor time sort of thing. So it's 10 hours a week contact hours. So it's I do think it's less than last year at the minute, because last year I'd have 3 modules on it to go. But I think because it's third year, it's going to be more intense in terms of you're really sorting to start to specialise in different areas of maths. So for me personally, I'm doing a lot of probability and stats heavy modules.
Yeah.
Where someone else might be doing pure maths modules, for example.
And is that taking inspiration from your summer internship?
I definitely had a part to play in terms of probability. Is probably used a lot more in that sort of work than pure maths would be. So that definitely had a role to play. Because so I'll let the listeners know now just about the IFOA and the exams. The IFOA issue these exams for actuaries to pass, basically, to become qualified. Some universities are actually accredited. So University of Liverpool, for example, if you do certain modules from there, you can actually get exemptions from your exams. Lancaster doesn't have that, unfortunately. If Lancaster was accredited, some of my modules I hope would let me get exemptions.
Yeah.
But even then, the modules I'm doing still be fine, sort of thing, for that career path. And I just prefer probability and stats anyway.
Okay, so let's go more into that. So most people have actually heard the word actuary, but they don't really know what it means. So can you just quickly define what an actuary actually is?
Yeah, so in simple terms, I'd say an actuary is just someone that uses numbers, uses maths and stats to help quantify risk for corporations. A lot of the time you'll see it crop up in insurance, so like life insurance, general insurance, and even in general insurance you've got a whole host of things. Think about any type of insurance you can take out. There's probably an actuary somewhere behind the scenes doing the numbers on it to make sure that the company's putting out the right insurance policies and stuff. And then the third type you've got is pensions, which is what I was doing over the summer. And the way we use these, the maths and the stats, is we'll have loads of models and we'll just put in data, it will spit some figures back, but we also have to go in and check and verify it, sort of thing. So, that's the main sort of crux of it, is just using maths and stats to help quantify risk for companies, mainly insurance, but also pensions as well. Because I'm not too sure on the law, but I think it is, at some point of your business size, you do have to give your employees a pension. And
yeah.
So part of the analysis that I've been doing
part of life.
Yeah, exactly. Part of the analysis that I've been doing over summer for these pension schemes is to make sure that the pension schemes have got enough assets to meet the liabilities.
Yeah.
So it'll be like person A is owed £10,000 from the day they retire up till the day they die. Part of my job was to make sure, has this pension scheme got enough funding to fund not just this person, but every single other person in this pension scheme as well?
How difficult do you think it is to become an actuary?
From the work that I've been doing over summer, I would say it's fairly difficult because you've got, I alluded to it before, the IFOA and the exams and stuff. You've got 13 exams to pass alongside doing some work experience. I think, so with the IFOA, there's 2 stages. There's an associate and there's a fellow. Associate, I think it's 2 years work experience, and I want to say it's 10 exams to pass. For the fellow, which is the next stage up, you need the next 3 exams to get 13 total, as well as another year work experience. So, I mean, you think 3 years of working plus 13 exams, it's quite difficult. On the top of that as well, you've also got to get used to internal company software, procedures, that sort of thing. And I was only doing it for 8 weeks. I learned a lot over the 8 weeks. I could look at myself from week 1 to week 8 and see a noticeable difference in my sort of knowledge that I'd acquired. But even then, I still feel like an idiot compared to some of the people that I've been working with that have been doing it for years. And even some of those people felt like idiots around like senior partners and stuff, because there is so many moving and like working parts that it does get, it becomes quite a difficult beast to tackle in terms of trying to just know everything. So I would say it's fairly difficult, but I mean, it is doable, because otherwise we wouldn't have any actuaries in the world.
So I can also imagine there's quite a steep learning curve when it comes to becoming an actuary. Do you think that's why many people are put off, say, like completing industrial placements in this particular sector rather than doing a summer internship?
Yeah, I'd say there is the steep learning curve, and I think it can put some people off, because I think people that are considering a career as an actuary, when they do research into it, they'll find out very quickly about these exams. And I think the fact that you have to go in, do your work, and also study longer after uni, I think I looked it up earlier. I want to say the average sort of time to get qualified is 4.5 years, but it can take someone anywhere from 3 years to 10 years. So I can see how a lot of people would get discouraged of thinking, I've just done 3 years at uni, going into a job where I've got to do 10 more years potentially. I mean, I do feel like that's an extreme case situation. But even 4.5 years extra, like the average, it is quite a big sort of commitment, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think as well, there's got to be some sort of benefit in these exams as well.
Yeah.
So what do you think is like the biggest thing people take out of it?
I think the exams are really good as a sort of really building your fundamentals in terms of becoming good at the job, because it's quite a numerical based role. And a lot of the exams in there's maths and stats exams. If you're someone that's maybe doing a business degree, because there are business exams as well as part of the curriculum, if you're doing a business degree and you're maybe not the most skilled with your numbers, the exams, especially the maths and stats ones, will be there to act as a sort of fundamental foundation builder before you carry on the rest of your career. So for example, for me, I just do maths with heavy stats bias. I'm not completely clued up about my business and economics concepts, and thankfully there are exams in the curriculum to help me brush up on those skills to make sure I know what I'm doing before I actually, before I muck something up essentially, because I don't know what I'm doing. So I'd say it does offer a good jumping off point, I'd say, as like the biggest takeaway from them.
We talk about obviously the subject, but if someone told you, I want to become an actuary because I love maths, would you say that's it? Or like, is there more to it?
I'd say it's definitely a really good starting off point. It's kind of how I got into it as well, because I was looking for internships last year. I was looking at a lot of financial services roles, such as auditing, accounting, that sort of thing. And I stumbled upon actuarial work and what being an actuary is. And as I was reading more and more and realised this is primarily a numerical based role, I was like, that suits me, sort of thing. So it's definitely a good starting off point. But I think it's also important to consider the fact that, I mean, an actuary, their job title in a lot of places will be actuarial consultant. The actuarial part, that's covered by, if you love maths, that sort of thing, you like working with numbers. The consultant part, obviously, you need to have soft skills with like people. You need to be able to talk to people. You need to be able to communicate effectively. So I'd say it's a really good starting off point. But you also do need to be able to be comfortable working with people. It's definitely a skill you can learn over time. I know that I had to learn it over time. But you need to, like, if you're considering it, great starting off point, but you do also need to consider, am I comfortable talking to people for a living? Because you'll be talking to people on your team, you'll also be talking to clients, you'll be talking to people possibly from other offices in your company, other people from different teams in your office, and you need to be comfortable working with different people, different knowledge levels of what it is you do, and also you need to be a good listener so you can actually understand what it is they do, and then you can work together as a team sort of thing.
What would you say to someone who's on the fence about being an actuary, who's curious about the career that you're in, but unsure if they're mathsy enough or if they're doubting themselves?
I think if you're on the fence, especially if you're not mathsy enough, I mean, the exams exist, and it does give you...
You can't avoid them.
You're not going to be able to avoid them. You will have to use maths in your day-to-day life. There is no avoiding that. But the purpose of the exams is to give you that good, sort of launch-off point.
Yeah.
I think if
that
you're...
grounding.
Yeah, a good just place to jump off from. I think if you're still on the fence about it and you're like, do I want to do this or do I want to do something else? Regardless of like your mathematical ability, I think the best thing you can do is possibly just reach out to people and just talk to them, see how they got started, see what they like about the job, what they dislike about it. And I think if you're in second year at the minute, applying for internships, because I know for myself last year in second year, I wasn't completely sure what I wanted to do until I found this. And I just researched it and just watched loads and loads of videos, and then it was like, okay, this is like seeming like what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go get 8 weeks experience doing this. If I like it, I'll keep trying to go for it, that sort of thing. So I got my 8 weeks experience. By the end of it, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is for me. So I think the best thing you can do is just reach out to people, research the job, just watch loads of videos on it, read blog posts, like any sort of thing you can find online. And then third point, if you're in second year and you're like, I don't really want to do anything else, I think I might want to do this, but I'm not entirely sure, you can just try and get an internship, because at the end of the day, it's not going to do you any harm if you've got 8 weeks experience in a...
it's a win-win situation.
Exactly, yeah. It's not going to do you any harm.
Yeah. Look, if our members do want to reach out to you for questions or even like a coffee meetup, where's the best place to do that?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not sure if you wanted to link it in the description or anything.
We'll probably do an description.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head because I've got like one of them custom URL things.
What's your full name?
James Hooker. Or do you want my middle names as well?
What's your name on your LinkedIn?
Oh, it's just James Hooker.
Okay. Yeah, so that's for our members to know.
Yeah.
Just going back to the main picture, so how do you balance learning on the job while also thinking about the exam path ahead?
So I didn't, obviously because I was just an intern, I didn't actually have to think about any upcoming exams, but I was able to see what my colleagues were doing that were recent grads. And they said usually it's fine when it gets around exam season, which is April and September. You get 2 opportunities to sit the exams throughout the year. That's when it does really sort of kick up in terms of the intensity of your study. I don't know about other companies, but I know that Barnett Waddingham, at least, they'll organise study days for you. They'll let you work in the middle of study in the middle of the day at like work. Obviously, if you've got deadlines and stuff, don't be doing that. But
don't leave it to the last minute. We don't support that.
Exactly. If you're reasonable with it, they will let you study in the day. People will study at home and be like, I'm not coming into work today. I've done all my deadlines for this week. I'm just going to take today and use it to study, that sort of thing. They also have a tutoring system, I think, and as well, everyone that works there as an actuary has sat the exams. They've all got really good advice. So I think, part of it as well is organising your time effectively, which is something you have to learn at uni anyway, between attending all your timetabled sessions, revision, coursework, all that sort of thing. So I think if you've learnt that at your time at uni, it will take getting used to, because I've got a full-time job and I've got to study, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's something that it's not too big of a jump, And
tell me if this is true or false, but even if you do have a non-quantitative degree, the soft skills that you gain at university, or even part-time work experience, that can be used to kind of mitigate that loss?
It can be, but I wouldn't say completely. I think you still need to be comfortable with numbers. You may not be the best. I'm not the best at maths. Like, I'm just not. I've accepted that fact. But, getting back to the question, like, people skills can definitely mitigate, like, not being the greatest at maths. But that being said, you can't be completely useless with your numbers. You do need to be comfortable. You do need to know what you're doing, but not to the degree of, like, I need to be the best in the world, I need to be a prodigy, that sort of thing. So, I mean, I guess in any job, your people skills can help offset, like, some things you're not as strong at, that sort of thing, if that's making sense.
Yeah, so with that being said, can you make it as an actuary but don't have the best people skills?
I mean, I think it does completely depend on the sort of environment you're in as well, because you may not have the best people skills, but, I mean, I said earlier in the podcast, I think people skills are something that can be learnt.
Yeah.
And one of the exams, actually, is literally, I think it's just called communications practice. It's to help you, get good at communication skills, because it is such a vital part of it. Like, for me, for example, I'm comfortable talking to people, I'm comfortable communicating with people, I'm also very comfortable with my numbers and my maths. Business and economics, not so much. So when it comes to that side of the job, where I was like, I've got to learn this and that, I mean, we got given training course while I was there, and it did take me a while to get to grips to it, but after a while I did get to grips to it, with it. So I think it all just comes back to these exams being a great starting off point. And, I think you need to know your strengths and your weaknesses as a person as well. Like, because I can tell you that the business and economic side are not the greatest, but the other stuff is great. And someone might have the opposite thing to me. They might be really good at the business and economic side of the job, maybe all right at the math side, but the people skills needs a bit of work. And that's why these exams exist, for that launching off point. Because I think I got to look at one of the past papers for that communications practice, and the task, I think, is the 2017 one. I can't remember if it was September or April. It's literally writing a letter to someone. Obviously, you're not speaking to them, but you still have to be communicating in a clear manner to make sure your point gets across without any, sort of wishy-washy, if you will. So yeah, you can definitely succeed.
So I know you're not studying for your exams right now, but, like, from the people that you've spoken to in your workplace, how do they stay motivated?
I think it's just one of them where you need to, when you're trying to apply for a job like this, you do really need to consider the extra study. And I think it's something where you're making such a big commitment, where it's like, I want to get to this job. I think you do need to have that end point in sight of, like, this is where I want to be, this is what I've got to do to get there. I think, for me personally, having that end goal in sight, that's what's motivating me at the minute to get through my studies, and then hopefully I'll carry on with getting through these exams in the future. So I think it is just a case of the people that are doing it, they have seriously considered, do I want to commit this amount of my life to studying? Do I really want to become this? And I think once you've made that decision, that's a big part of what will keep you motivated. It kind of reminds me of people that go into medicine for uni, wanting to become doctors at the end of it. They've known since the age of 18 they want to become a doctor, so they know they're going to have to do 3-year medicine course alongside however many years working at a hospital as a junior doctor to then eventually become qualified. So it's in a similar vein as that. I don't think it's anywhere near as difficult as a doctor. I mean, it is difficult, but nowhere near as difficult as saving lives, I suppose.
Yeah, I should also mention as well to our listeners, a few episodes ago we did record our graduate entry to medicine episode, so please check that out. There's a big focus on data and models in actuarial work, but where does human judgment play in it?
So you'd be surprised, actually. Human judgment, I think, comes up quite a lot, and I noticed it coming up quite a lot over the 8 weeks. So you are right in saying that we use a lot of data, a lot of models, and they do a lot of the calculations for us. I got to grips with Excel very quickly, never used it before. Now I'm fairly comfortable using it because we were having to use it on a daily basis. But what would happen sometimes, not every time, because if it happened every time, that's just a headache. But some of the time, it would be you've used the model, you've used the data, you've put everything in, it all looks correct, but something's going wrong somewhere. And that's where your human sort of judgment comes into it. So I've only I only did it for 8 weeks, so I'm not an expert. I've still got a lot to learn. I did learn quite a lot over the 8 weeks, to the point where I got to a level of being able to look at something and I could tell something was wrong. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what it was that was wrong, but I could just tell you something was wrong. And that's at the point where I get someone who has a lot more experience than me, knows what they're doing, and I'm like, hey, something's wrong with this. I don't know what's wrong, but could you verify that I'm not going crazy, essentially? And then it turns out there might have been something wrong with the model, there might have been something wrong with the data we've been sent, anything like that. So I think you do need, you're not just a mindless drone putting in numbers, you do have to be thinking. And you do have to be thinking about, why are we doing this in this exact way? And I think when you can understand that, that's when your human judgment really does come into play of like, should we be doing this in this situation? Yes, because blah, blah, blah. No, because X, Y, Z, that sort of thing. So it does come up quite a bit, more than you'd actually think. More than I thought, definitely.
What kind of mentorship did you receive on your scheme?
So with Barnett Waddingham, I was assigned a supervisor who was someone that was qualified and was a bit more senior, and then a mentor who was like a graduate, been there for 1 or 2 years, and they were my first port of call. In terms of mentorship, we had a meeting, me, the mentor, and the supervisor, every 4 weeks, just to discuss how I was getting on, any areas that they thought I could improve at, any areas they thought I was doing well at. And that sort of mentorship meeting scheme definitely helped me develop. And as well, everyone that I work with is very friendly. They're all very willing to help, because they've all been in the exact same position I've been in before, so they can empathise a bit there. So if I didn't know what was going on with something, I would just shoot a message on Teams to either them individually, or I could put it in the whole team-wide chat, and someone would be able to get back to me with an answer. If they couldn't put it in a message, they'd come over, or they'd call me over and explain what was going on. So I think the mentorship that is on offer is really good, because, like I say, you get assigned people to look after you from day one, but because everyone else working there, even if they're not your mentor or your supervisor, has been in your spot before, they're all more than willing to help out, like, quite a bit. Because some of the questions I had were downright stupid at times, like really stupid. But even then, I never felt judged for asking a silly question. I always had it answered or explained to me, and that was, it was just a great feeling.
Because I've always felt like you should almost be treated like a full-time employee. You should be given the same, respect as like a full-time employee. But yeah, no, mate, I'm so happy for you.
Thanks. No, I definitely felt that I was. It felt like I was a full-time employee after a few weeks of, your nerves settling down and you feel like you're really becoming a part of something. It did feel like I was a full-time employee, because I was included in meetings, people would ask for my opinions on things, that sort of thing. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to give the greatest opinions because of the knowledge gap, but just the fact that was there. And with Barnett Waddingham specifically, I can't speak for other companies, the sort of management hierarchy doesn't really feel like it exists. So one example I'll give you is the business area leader for actuarial consulting actually visited the Liverpool office while I was there. This person is like 3 tiers above me, doesn't need to know my name, my face, anything. She got up out of her seat, come over, shook my hand, introduced herself, started talking to me. And similar things happened with other senior partners. And part of why I thought that was just so great is because I have worked in places where upper management will just ignore you, they just won't speak to you, sort of thing. So having that there of like, you do not need to speak to me, you get paid.
And I think that effort means everything.
Exactly, and it felt like they were really putting in an effort to make me feel included, and that's something I really appreciated about it.
What's the most surprising thing that you've learned on your experience so far? And you can use the answer beforehand.
No, that was definitely surprising, that hierarchy structure just existing but not feeling like it, because everyone is, so friendly, so talkative, wants to include everyone. But I would also say one of the things that surprised me was how big the actual industry is. So I'm not going to give specific numbers just because client confidentiality or that sort of thing. But there was one thing where I was working on this scheme, and we'll say, I just saw the number 5,000, for example. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't 5,000, but that's an example, right? It was about 5,000. I was like, oh, that's quite small. So I'm working away, and about halfway through working on it, No, I was speaking to someone about it. I was like, 5,000. It's not that big, actually, is it? In terms of a pension scheme, and they were like, oh no, that's not 5,000. That's 5 million, and that's one of the smaller ones. And I was like, oh,
big difference there.
What do you mean 5 million is a small one? And it was like, yeah, it's one of the smaller ones we've got. And so that sort of realization of, wow, this is actually massive amounts of money. That was something that did shock me, because I mean, I've never really seen money like that in my life. If I have $5,000 in my bank account, someone's paid me something wrong. So yeah, I think it was just a mixture of that hierarchy structure and the fact everyone's so willing to help out, because I've never worked in an office before this. And so it was quite daunting the first time of like, am I just going to be treated horribly? Am I just going to get like walked over, that sort of thing? And having my sort of pre-built, I don't know what you'd call it, like precognitions, I guess, or biases.
Probably, I don't know.
Something like that, just completely shattered in about 5 minutes, in a good way. That was a big surprise. And then again, the thing of how big the industry is, that was quite a shock. So I was like, whoa, I've been here for 2 weeks and you're putting me in charge of this.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that? But no, it's it definitely a shock to the system at first.
I mean, how do you deal with that much responsibility in such a short period of time?
I think you just have to use your skills that you've got already. So one of the main skills that we do have to use is an attention to detail. And when you know that you've got all of this money sat there, you do need to make sure that you're doing everything correct, because, I mean, one, you want to do it right. Two, it's like, what happens if I don't do it right? So I think just using your attention to detail and really making sure that you're checking everything that you're doing is correct is one of the biggest pieces of advice I could give, because there were times where I was doing something, didn't go quite right, and it turns out that I had missed just something, like the tiniest little thing I'd missed. But because I wasn't completely switched on, it meant that the end result wasn't exactly what I was expecting. Mm-hmm. So just making sure that you're paying attention to things, honestly, and then you'll be all right. Obviously, there will be slip-ups, but that's humans, I guess.
Yeah, we all make mistakes, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I'd say, in your opinion, what makes a good actuary?
So I think what makes a good actuary, from my experience, now I actually asked this question in my interview of like what separates a good actuary versus like a really top-end actuary.
Great minds think alike.
Oh, exactly. I think the answer that I got given, now bear in mind my interview was in April, so my memory's a bit foggy, but also I'm using this combined with just what I saw from the people that work there. It's just a combination of really knowing your stuff and also being really good at your fundamental skills as well. So, I mean, for me, an actuary combines two main skills. It involves like your numerical thinking, your analytical thinking, your problem solving, alongside your ability to communicate. I think if you're really good at those two things and you really know the inner workings of specific pension schemes, so some actuaries will be working on one pension scheme that another won't even have a clue about. I think combining those is what brings success, Yeah,
definitely. So we've kind of touched upon this, but have you noticed any myths or misconceptions about becoming an actuary that you realise aren't true?
I mean, one of the things I thought it was going to be when I did go into it from, reading online and stuff, watching videos, was that it was going to be a lot of sitting at a computer, putting in data, and that's the end of it. And there was a lot of that, don't get me wrong, but the human element being a part of it as much as it was, that is something that I was like, I wasn't expecting this as much. And the fact as well of like the hierarchy structure that we talked about, again, I don't know if this is an industry specific thing or if it's just this company, but that not existing, that was something that did sort of shatter my reality of like, whoa, what's going on here? So yeah, I would say those two are the biggest sort of things, definitely.
And what would you say is the potential downsides of working as an actuary? Or at least what you've experienced? Because we like to get both sides of the argument. Yeah,
no, that's fair. See, because I might struggle to answer, because I had such a positive experience, trying to find negatives is quite difficult, because the way that the company worked is actually very well organised, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the only downside that I found was my commute in the morning. So I was having to go from Blackpool to Liverpool, but after...
How far is that?
It's about an hour 15 on the train, but I commute to uni from Blackpool, so it's about the same. like
See,
in terms
that's
of time.
incredible.
It's just something that I've gotten used to be honest. That's like the only downside of like not being able to just go home straight away.
Did you have to work late hours?
No, I didn't have to work late hours. My days were always 9 o'clock till 5:15, and as long as I filled out my hours for the week, I was completely fine. No late hours. I mean, you can choose to stay later, but it's not like there's someone there forcing you. It gets to around 5 o'clock. People start talking and stuff, wait until it gets to 5:15, and then everyone's like, oh, it's 5:15, let's just pack our things and go, sort of thing. They might just, go home, or someone might say, hey, who wants to go for a drink, like a couple of drinks, that sort of thing. People did get there earlier than they needed to be, but that is a completely personal choice. That wasn't enforced by the company. I got to work at about 9:15 every morning, left at 5 o'clock. And that was it. I never got asked to stay really late. I never got never got asked to start really, really early. It was just a nice 9 to 5 structure routine.
So when you mentioned about people coming in earlier than expected, would you say your company offers flexible working? So like if they come in, say, at 8 o'clock, they can leave at 4 p.m, for example?
Yeah, I'd say that the flexible workings definitely exists at Barnett Waddingham. People had the option to work from home on some days. People have the option to go home early on some days. As long as they make the time up, it's completely fine. For me, I wasn't going to try and risk doing a flexible work day, not with my commute and the fact I was an intern. I was like the small little fish in the big pond. I wasn't going to try and do anything like that.
Yeah.
But people that already work there and are established, they would do that depending on what their schedule is. So people would be like, oh, I'm going to be a bit late today. I've got a car MOT or something like that. Or, I've got an appointment booked at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but I'm going to make the hours up and stay an hour later today. So flexible working definitely exists there.
And do you think your internship has changed how you see risk in everyday life? And even how you make decisions?
I wouldn't say in my day-to-day life, but in terms of how I view the financial world, definitely. Just because I've had first-hand exposure to how things are done and how things are run, it's shaped my perception of like, this is actually quite big and quite important, and there's quite a lot of work that goes into this. In my day-to-day life, not particularly, but in terms of how I view finance and money, definitely. And I think having that exposure has definitely shaped that view that I've got now.
Okay, so let's talk more about the application process as well. What part of the application process do you think made you stand out the most?
So I think part of my application process that made me stand out the most was actually the assessment centre. So
Okay.
I had to fill out the CV online. I did a video interview. I had a phone interview, and then I had the assessment centre. The assessment centre, I'm not going to give too much away just because I don't think I'm allowed to, but there were different tasks in the assessment centre that you had to do, and one of the tasks that I had done, I felt that I'd done really well at. I'd walked out of there thinking, I've done really well at that. I think I've done amazingly. There was one task that I had felt I didn't do so amazingly at, but it was at the start of the day. I'm going to attribute that one to nerves, and I mean, I clearly did something right because they offered me the internship. But I think a lot of it does come down to prep. I think I prepped really, like, out of all the places I applied, I prepped the hardest for this one. I made sure to research everything about the company. I practiced interview techniques, that sort of thing. I made sure everything was all, like, I made the odds in my favour as much as I could. And I feel like it paid out quite well.
So what would you say is your best advice for passing an assessment centre?
I'd say a lot of it does come down to the prep and the research beforehand. I think because every company does it differently, right? I think look at what it is you'll be doing on the day and just make sure that you practice what it is you'll be doing. I know for me, I had some things that I knew I was going to have. Some of the things I knew I had a vague idea of, but they were like, yeah, we're going to tell you more on the day sort of thing. So whatever you get given, just make sure that you practice it. And as well, when it comes, because every place has got a teamwork exercise somewhere thrown in there, they like to see how you work with people. Making sure that you're comfortable working in that environment, making sure that you're not, just being like a dictator or not being too passive. You do have to find that right balance sort of thing. I think that team working exercise is one of the most important ones to get right, because I had, they told us on the day that someone had been there, they'd done really, really well at everything, and then they got to the team working exercise and they just wanted to do it their way. They didn't want to listen to anyone. They didn't want input. They weren't trying to compromise. They just wanted to do it their way, and because of that, they weren't offered the job, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately for me, but for them.
And as you mentioned as well, those interpersonal skills had never been more important than in that assessment centre.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're meeting all these people for the first time. You've got to, introduce yourself, make conversation.
You've got to make a good impression.
Exactly, and that's the thing. If you make a good impression, it will help you stand out. It's not going to get you into it on its own, but it is going to, if you have a really strong sort of assessment day, but you've not made any small talk, that's not as great as someone that's had a really good assessment day similar to you, but they've made the effort to go around, speak to everyone, be friendly, make small talk, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Maybe it's the little things that those employers look for the most.
Yeah, I mean, I don't work in recruitment or anything, but I'd say it definitely adds to it. I wouldn't say it's the sole thing they're looking for, but I think it definitely adds to it. I think if I put myself in the shoes of someone that's hiring someone, I would rather have the person that's going around making a good impression, trying to be friendly to everyone, and is also competent at what they're doing, than the person that's like, they knows what they're doing, but they're just not making an effort. It's like, would you be friends with someone that's like just not talkative, doesn't want anything to do with you, or would you be friends with the person that's like, hey, my name's blah blah blah, what's your name, that sort of thing, Yeah, I don't think there's a way you can really sort of practice, going up, saying hello, making small talk, that sort of thing. I don't think there is like a way you can just sit there and do it at home. But I think as long as you're making a conscious effort to do so, you'll be all right. And obviously, like, make talk, be friendly. I want to say be yourself, and definitely do be yourself, but don't speak to them like your mate that you've known for 10 years.
Yeah.
Because I've got a mate that I've known for 10 years, and I wouldn't speak to my future employer how I would my friend.
Yeah. I would say in terms of communication, and I need to speak to the camera about this, one of the biggest tips I can ever give for improving your communication skills, because I used to be such an introvert, is imagine the person you're talking to, right? Imagine they're the most important person you've ever met in your life. So you have no choice but to make a good impression. Like, I think I got this from Stephen Bartlett's podcast. But, like, imagine that other person who you're talking to. Imagine they got a Post-it note, like, stuck on their head, like super glued on their head, that says, talk to me like I'm a VIP, And, yeah. And that is literally how I grew my interpersonal skills. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in there.
No, I was able to...
Because it's such an important skill. I can't even tell you.
I honestly think... So the way I did it, because I wasn't very good at talking to people, working with them, that sort of thing. The way I did it was just working behind a bar. Because having to talk to people for a living, having to speak to people, work with other people, doing that on a daily basis, you eventually just get good, like, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And the way I tell people that are like my friends and stuff, they've just started out a bar job, they're kind of nervous, the way I tell them to try and approach it is just pretend like you're acting. Pretend,
oh my gosh, yes.
Pretend you're playing a character, and eventually what happens over time is you stop playing the character and it just becomes a part of you. Yeah. So I used to go to work being
just fake it till you make it.
Literally, you fake it until you make it, and then it just becomes you. That's what I used to do. I used to go to work, be like, I'm James the bartender. Yeah. It's like, I'm not James the bartender anymore. I'm just James, and I'm just serving you a pint.
Yeah. Honestly, it is all about that practice.
Yeah.
And it's just, sometimes you just got to be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
Because it is honestly, the more people you talk to, like, even in unfamiliar situations, like, even, if you go on holiday to another country, that's also, like, a brilliant way of just learning to just go with the flow and everything.
Just talk to people.
Yeah.
Just talk to people.
I know it sounds really easy, but in real life it's not.
It isn't, no.
When you imagine yourself as a fully qualified actuary years from now, praying for that grad scheme, by the way.
Hopefully.
What kind of impact do you want to make?
So, hopefully I want to be, number one, I want to be qualified, hopefully, in the future. Number two, if/when I am, I want to be making an impact at work directly by making sure that the clients we work with, they feel secure in the fact that the benefits of the pension scheme are well looked after, and as well, it will give me a lot of satisfaction knowing that the members of the pension scheme, their benefits are looked after. So the thing they've worked for their entire life, they are going to get, sort of thing. In terms of stepping away from that, I want to be able to help people that are in my position currently, or like recent grads that would have just joined, because I know what it's like at the minute to feel like a fish out of water. You've not got a clue what you're doing, but I know what it's like as well, having someone there to sort of guide you and offer a helping hand. And I know how important that feels, and how much improvement you can make if there's someone there directly helping you. Obviously not giving you all the answers, you've got to think for yourself.
Yeah.
But just having someone there, and that's something.
Just knowing that you're not alone in this.
Exactly, and I want to be there for someone in the future to be that, guiding light, if you will. To be like, it's all right, we've all been here before, I'll help you, don't worry, that sort of thing,
Yeah, that's really sweet as well. How did you find out about this opportunity, actually?
I just scoured through job boards, to be honest. I was just like...
The joys of LinkedIn.
I found out what an actuary is, and I was like, hey, that's what I want to do. And then, like you target jobs, your Bright network, that sort of thing. There's a website, actually, for actuary-specific stuff called Actuarial Careers.
Right.
I can't remember if it's a .com or a .co.uk, but on there they've got...
Just use Google.
They've got all the openings that are listed for actuarial jobs. So at the minute they've got a load of internships and grad schemes on their website at the minute, and they've also got testimonials of people that done internships or grad schemes before. So it was funny, when I was looking into Barnett Waddingham, I found them on this Actuarial Careers website, and they had like a little internship profile testimonial thing. I was like, I'm going to read that to make sure that I know what I'm doing. And I found two of the people that I actually work with had submitted this thing like years ago, and so I got to read firsthand from them what it was actually, what it was like, what they got up to. So I'd say just look on job boards and stuff. But that Actuary Careers one for actuarial work, that is very, very useful.
Keep applying. Like, literally, just don't give up. Like, I promise you, there is something out there for you. You just need to really hit the nail on the head when it comes to resilience.
Yeah.
I
think as well, one of the things that people should be doing when they're applying for jobs is you always get the same two questions come up. You always get why this company, why this role. The why this role, that's usually once I like writing up mock answers for myself, because I know those two questions always come up. So I'll come in with the why this role. It'll be a few like things about myself, why it links to the job, and give a few motivations around it. When it comes to the why this company, just set aside 30 minutes to an hour, literally just skimming through the company website, pull some things out from there and figure out how it relates to you, and then you can turn that into an answer from there. You shouldn't be reading from a screen on the interview, but I think actually just writing something down, it's like, I've actually got a reason. And you can give a better answer than just, I want to work for your company because you pay me really, really well and you get really good benefits.
I think that's why research comes into it a lot, especially when even writing a cover letter as well. What achievements has the company won? What awards has the company won? Why does that attract you to that company?
Yeah, exactly.
It takes 7 seconds, I think, for an employer to look through your CV.
When I applied to Barnett Waddingham, one of my biggest sort of motivators was, so they've actually got a list of some clients on their website. So I was just like, let's have a look through their clients. And they work with the British Red Cross and the RSPCA. Now, I'm quite a big animal lover. I've got 7 pets at home. I've got 2 dogs, 2 cats, and 3 budgies.
Wow.
It's like Blackpool Zoo in my house sometimes. And so I was like, they work with an animal charity. That resonates with me because I'm a big animal lover. And I was able to bring that up in my interview and say, I do really admire the fact you work with the RSPCA because, and I actually pulled out my wallet because I've got photos of my animals in my wallet.
Oh.
Pulled it out mid-interview. I was like, these are my pets. Bit unconventional, but
that means you'll be remembered.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
But James, that terminates the interview. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's been an absolute joy coming to speak to you.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
To our viewers, please stay tuned where we provide valuable insights into the wonderful world of work, guiding you through internships and graduate schemes. Thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye.